everybody, and welcome to this live from Ignite presentation that we're going to do for you today. We have actually two colleagues of ours present in the Ignite area, and we're going to hear from them in just a minute. So if you're out there and joining us via live storm, please use the chat functionality if you have any problems at all, and please use the question functionality if you have some question addressed to me or to my two colleagues that we're going to talk to in just a minute. And we're going to hear all the exciting news that are coming out from Ignite, and I guess we're just going to launch right into it and ask Rik and Henrik Kim that we have on site in Seattle. Welcome and good morning. You've been up really early.
Good morning, indeed. It's 6 o'clock. It's Seattle time.
But the good thing is Starbucks opens at 5, so we're all fueled on black coffee, so yes. Ready.
That's
well,
really
you can see that our little studio setup is live from the center of Seattle downtown. So we're in the hotel on the 26th floor overlooking downtown, and actually just around the corner I could look out my window and see the convention center where it's all happening.
That's so nice to hear, and you're looking like you're in a good mood and good spirit. So I guess that you had a lot of things to attend to yesterday. Also, the whole opening of Ignite. So you were present at the keynote speak with Microsoft yesterday, and could you tell us a little bit about how was it and what was on the agenda?
First of all, I would say since the pandemic, it was nice to be back at one of these really big Microsoft Ignite events, a really big keynote with thousands of people attending and all the buzz and, music and lights going on. It's almost like, rock stars taking the stage when then finally Satya Nadella came to stage. And it's just part of it. It just feels right if that comes across in the right way. But otherwise, it was good to hear the messages reiterated from Microsoft. I think it is an Ignite, and we haven't. It's also very important. We only went through day 1, so we have 2 more days here. But there was a lot of new announcements. So they actually also kept some of their gunpowder dry and ready to launch for this event. But we're still not there yet. More will come today and tomorrow. I think one of the highlights that kind of, at least for me, went a bit under the radar is their focus now on the hardware side. I caught up on it just last week when there was a broadcast and a keynote from OpenAI, and OpenAI Sam Altman was presenting, and then he invited Satya Nadella on stage. And Satya at that point say they love the partnership and a lot of other stuff, but he also said, and we love what OpenAI is doing in terms of driving Microsoft to improve Azure. And at that point it was like, what is it that he's talking about? But basically the announcement yesterday was that they are now heavily invested in hardware, creating their own processors for the next generation of data centers that is optimized for just the AI.
Yeah, that's, as everyone can imagine, for creating the large language models and for actually running against it, you need a huge compute power. And that is where, say, Microsoft brings in actually their own first designed and developed chip. Secondly, they have heavily invested in their partnership with NVIDIA, which also brings another faster way of computing to Azure. So basically, they built it up during the keynote from look at what the foundation is. And this is really something different than what the other companies do. Say they really start at the foundation of what do you need to actually do AI properly. Not only from, say, all the things like security, et cetera, and being having fair AI, et cetera. That's all where they are invested in. But also the bottom line is it needs to perform. It needs to be fast, and that's where they started with yesterday. And actually they started even further than that, saying, hey, but if you do that, you consume also a huge amount of power. which means that it has to be sustainable. So they promised to have the 100% renewable energy by 2025 on their data centers. So I think that's a good thing that they also take that into account.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a huge message, but also one of these messages where it kind of goes under the radar. We're talking about a lot about the features and what we could do with the services, but yeah, we also need to be thoughtful about what it is that we are creating here, because I've heard that notion also before, that the AI is really consuming a lot of energy. So at least trust us and trust Microsoft that will be coming from renewable energy at least.
Yeah, I picked up on that one too. Like 2025, that is a promise and a good commitment, and that seems like they know that they can make that deadline. Otherwise, 2025 is pretty close.
Just around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really close.
So maybe they're already there, and that is that's very positive in my mind too. So the whole keynote, other than the hardware, because like you said, Rik, they were building up from the bottom, like the infrastructure and all of this, and then all the way to the top. What was some of the takeaways also from further up the stack that you took away?
I think one message, or one way to put it, was a bit funny, that Satya basically said Microsoft is the co-pilot company. So we now see how they stick co-pilot on all of the different softwares and services, but so it is maybe the obvious statement to say we're now the co-pilot company, but I think we actually need to listen a bit more carefully there and understand that what he actually means is that we're seeing this major shift now again. So from a classic setup with input-output, keyboard, mouse, to the touch experience, now we can have a conversation with our computer. That is new, and it's both in written, but also I see both during the keynote, but also some of the breakout sessions later, that they often turn to just talking to the computer on stage and actually getting the experience and response you're expecting.
Yeah.
So voice, like they're voicing their computer also. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think the whole, if you look at it, and it's the feeling that I got on the first day of this conference. Let me compare it to last week. Last week I had the pleasure of attending the Gartner IT Symposium and Expo, and that was obviously all about AI as well. So it was all about AI, say, and that was maybe the difference here, because actually what you see here is how Gartner positions it. Say Gartner is talking about two kinds of AI. On the one side, you have everyday AI, which is in everyday life. So we're talking here about raising productivity. And although we think that IT has lifted productivity over the years, that is only marginal, actually. Say all the things we added in technology, say we need to do them, and it's a way to say do your business right now. But lifting really productivity is really hard. And with everyday AI, Microsoft now starts proving. There's also a new report on it, the special report on the work index, and certainly check it out. And they have done research on what that means. So everyday AI you see in your Teams meetings, AI making a summary of what you just said, or helping you write emails, that kind of stuff, both in the front office and the back office. Then it comes to game-changing AI, but game-changing AI is much harder to do. It's changing your business model, bringing new products and services to the market, or changing your core capabilities in the essence of what you do as a company. That is much, much harder. So the message of Gartner was, start now, right now, with everyday AI. But if we then compare it to what Microsoft is showing, actually, it's this seemed with Gartner all a little bit scientific and all focused on the AI part. And now, if every session I attended, you saw that the AI came back in all of their products and services, say ranging from security and AI, Copilot for security, all the way to developers, Copilot for GitHub and developing, but also in daily life of sales. I attended Copilot for sales. So you see that Microsoft really has embedded the Copilot everywhere. And I think that is one of the good things that you see. There's say it didn't feel like the whole day was about AI. Yes, it was in every session. However, it was also in, hey, but it does this to our core products and services. And that's why it makes it better. And that's why we want to do this. And that's why we now have a GA on Microsoft Fabric, because Fabric basically is the layer to do AI, and AI is the layer to make teams better and to make they launch new teams. So those are the things like making your current product and services better. Everyday AI, it's right now and right here. And I would certainly encourage all of our customers to start doing it, say, and at least start experimenting with it as soon as you can.
So you look at it like there's the everyday AI, and then there's the products or the services that you do in a company. So the customers should start on the everyday side. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think to learn how AI behaves and what it does and what it can mean for you, and actually raise that, say, Microsoft has seen that really that productivity. They had a funny story about, say, they asked a lot of the people who they gave Copilot as a test to, they asked like, okay, now we give you the choice. Say you can keep Copilot, or we take Copilot away and you get everyday free lunch at the office. 77% of all people said, I don't want to lose Copilot. So skip lunch. I want Copilot to help me do my job because it's so much easier. So that is just a funny story, obviously, but it says the productivity gains might be this time real in what you're going to do. And I think, say, I saw something, you had an internal meeting and used Copilot on that. And I was really stunned on how accurate it basically, without even saying, that's also an announcement that you can do it without doing a transcription of the meeting. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you want to have a serious meeting and you don't want to put everything down as written down for security reasons or whatever. That is also possible that you still ask AI, hey, I don't have the transcription, but this was the meeting. Please tell me what is the highlights of it and what are the action points of it. And that's really nice to see that, say, Microsoft gets your everyday life better.
So are we allowed to make fun of Microsoft also in this? Okay. Yeah. Because one of the it's not a big announcement, but I love the announcement, and that's I'm a Microsoft partner, but that may be so. But I'm Googling, right? I've always been using Google to find my stuff. And it's for good reasons, I think. And then came the announcement earlier this year, and we've really been pushing the Bing Chat Enterprise. It's your everyday Copilot. Instead of using ChatGPT, you can get something within your own boundaries. But I think we all had like, oh, why use the name Bing? And I think Microsoft listened, and now it's just Copilot.
Yeah, so Bing Chat has been renamed to Copilot. So you can go to copilot.microsoft.com and use it from there.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the things from our internal testing of Copilot that has been a bit confusing for people. Where is this Copilot? Everyone is talking about Copilot, and some of it is obvious, but sometimes you also just want this starting point, so to speak, and that is of course the Copilot. So again, okay, now it aligns copilot.microsoft.com. That's your starting point, and then based on what kind of license you have, you of course have different experiences. You can basically just say, is a toggle button? Are you private or are you working now? So is it the work stuff? I need to do a presentation, or is it preparing dinner for tonight and I need a recipe for whatever feast?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned licensing, and you trigger me on that one, because one of the announcements which was new to me and probably to Henrik as well was the announcement of Copilot Studio. And Copilot Studio is basically an environment where you can either make your own Copilot or adapt Copilot to your specific situation. Basically meaning you can use your systems, your internal systems, and the data in those internal systems using APIs to connect to them and use the data in Copilot. So that means that your chatbot, for example, where customers can ask you questions, can be aware. So if you ask the chatbot, asks like, what about, say, I have a problem with my order. You can have the chatbot ask like, okay, give me your order number. And then Copilot checks in with your own internal system and pulls all the data from that order and can use it in creating an answer. Say like, oh, I see that you ordered this machine that is on delay because supply chain says that it is late. So that is something that only humans could be doing up till now. But that is something like Copilot Studio is something really powerful to start using your own Copilot, creating your own Copilots into your own processes. So that is something, and the good part is if you buy Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, Copilot Studio is included. So you buy the license, you get Copilot Studio, you can adapt it to your own environment. And it also works beautifully with Power Platform. So you can basically design every single process with Copilot you want. And that I thought that was really, I saw that in a couple of sessions. That was something which for me was mind-blowing. Like, okay, now we really open up the power of Copilot to your internal processes and your customer processes and how you want to do that. So very happy about that. And I would say Copilot is now really part of our platform story, because that's always what we say. Hey, you buy Microsoft not only for the individual products, but the combination into the product that is so powerful, and that got, in my view, what I saw was much more powerful than it has been ever before.
And then I always, when I go to Ignite, I try to bring some questions. In the weeks up to the Ignite is really the things I've been searching for. There's ambiguity in the answers I'm finding. Then Ignite is really a good session to go to, because Microsoft also had this notion of the media experts. And one of the questions of this year was, when is the language support coming? Because we all know also from our own internal testing of the Microsoft Copilot that, for instance, Danish is not supported, and it's actually easy to talk to Microsoft people about and saying, we come from Europe, we have all these different languages, so it's actually very important to us that you also figure this out. And so I didn't get a solid answer, especially on the timing. It is one of these, it's coming, it'll be probably phased. So we will see the different European languages coming in phases. And it is something 2024, no surprise there, I guess. But they also talked a bit to what is the problem here. And you suddenly understand also, again, all the layers and how the Copilot is working. And their problem is actually, if we switch language, then when is that switch applied, and does it go through the whole stack? So I'm asking a question in Danish, then is that Danish question being, worked on with the Copilot, talking to the LLMs, or going to the Microsoft Graph and so on? And how do they then secure and make it compliant and make sure that I'm not asking questions I shouldn't be doing? So should they instead maybe do a translation? So from Danish to English, then apply everything that is going on like it is today, get the answer, and then translate that back to Danish. And then he looked to me and, do you think that would work? I was like, I can think of scenarios where it will just throw us in a totally wrong direction. So yeah, I see the complexity of what they're doing there, and we just hope that it will come soon, because it will improve it even further, I think, in the experience we get from the Copilots, and that is Copilots in the broadest term, I believe.
Yeah,
exactly. I also see that exactly we need to pronounce it Copilots, because there's a lot of them, and the customers are already a little confused, and now they took the Bing Chat Enterprise and renamed it. I just had a customer today asking me, now we can see we have the Copilot within our license, and I was like, well, not that Copilot, another one. Yeah. So it is a classic Microsoft stunt, I think, kind of to make this naming a little bit hard to come across, but we'll manage, and everybody will be very satisfied with all the different Copilots that are available. I'm pretty sure of that.
now we are making fun of Microsoft, and even Microsoft is making fun of Microsoft, because I went to a breakout session and the guy on stage, he had a bit of gray hair like me, and he said, yeah, I've been in the industry for more than 30 years. And I remember back in the days when we introduced .NET and we just slammed .NET on everything, Office.NET, Windows.NET, .NET. Yeah, I have something similar with this Copilot, and then he went on with his breakout session. So yeah, I think it's fair to say, whoa.
Yeah, but the reality is, say to at least speak for Microsoft a little bit, the reality is that it is everywhere, and that we are going to use it everywhere to get that productivity gain. Say in every corner. So and it might start out with the maybe for people like crafting you a draft email, and then it's for a reason it's called Copilot and not Autopilot. Mm-hmm. So you still have to check the end result. A funny story. Say one of the guys on stage said, like, "Hey, I'm actually our inner circle sponsor, Gurkan Salk. He's on Copilot for finance, and he said I came home the other day, and my daughter was doing her homework with ChatGPT, and he said that's maybe not making me a proud father. But afterwards we had the discussion, like, well, say at Gardner, a professor said, actually, I'm okay with my students using ChatGPT, but they should know that the bar goes up. And that's basically for all of us. Say, hey, if ChatGPT helps you with all the knowledge and doing suggestions, then you better be able to explain those things. So that's why it's called Copilot. Mm. And I think that say it makes what we can do faster, but we still have to check on the accuracy. Mm. And when it comes to being accurate, that was one of the things which also for me was a kind of an eye-opener. A lot of people have questions about large language models. That's what he called language models and numbers. So how about if you started using AI in, for example, Dynamics 365 Finance? Then say people might be getting a little bit scary, like, hey, can AI handle numbers? And there are basically two answers to that, which I got yesterday. One is, say, in ChatGPT 3.5, that was really a problem. 4 has already changed a lot, and this goes very fast. Say last time this year, I would say this time last year, no one had heard of ChatGPT, and now we're all doing Copilot. So this is extremely fast. Secondly, and that was something of like, oh, the AI learns, and Copilot has learned to speak Python, and Excel also speaks Python. And what is the best way to learn numbers? From Excel, because that's what half of the finance department uses. So by integrating those two and sending numbers back and forth, say Copilot learns very quickly and is getting more accurate, I would say, by the hour in how to interpret and how to handle numbers. Mm. And say there comes an announcement, say they didn't want to say what, but early next year, something in finance and Copilot will happen.
Mm. And I think also talking about this with ChatGPT, I also heard the Microsoft in several sessions saying we're still figuring this out. Again, back to the picture of it, we started with the mouse and keyboard, and then we turned to the touch. And the business said when we got touch, we also needed to figure out how to use that, because there was something changing here. And I think the change with the Copilot is even bigger. And the chance that we're getting this right in the first take, Microsoft is getting this right, no way. So we will see something going back and forth here, where we are figuring this out, and we as and now I'm just a user, so to speak. I also need to figure out where is it that I'm going to change. What is my mode of operations? I get up in the morning, get my first cup of coffee, and then I do something different other than just open my Outlook or look at my social media feeds. What is it that I should be changing to be more productive, to get more involved with my Copilot? I have some ideas, and I'm certainly testing it out, but I think that is the major shift, and was actually really, really difficult to talk to how will that look in 1 year, 2 years time, right?
I completely agree. That's what we are talking to the customers about currently, right? Finding these use cases, finding what is the new way of working, what's the new normal with you out there in the customer sides. Like, how do they actually perceive all of this? So it's very interesting conversations. So have you got like anything that you're going to follow throughout this this couple of next days that you're attending Ignite? What is on your agenda?
Yeah, apart from seeking some answers to some of my questions, and some of them are deep dives on some issues we are facing today. So that's more day-to-day business almost, and even some of it is not related to AI at all. I also use these Ignite conferences to sometimes seek some areas that I'm not working with on my day-to-day business. I still like and love technology. I love to do coding. I just don't do it that much. So seeking some sessions where I get inspired and see, okay, where are they at? I had a really exciting session, at the end of the day from 5 o'clock to 6. It's the worst hour, right? But it was a session with Scott Hanselman, and he's also always great. And I actually encourage people to go and see that, even if you're not a programmer, because at least the first half of it, he had some really good pointers on how is it that ChatGPT and Copilots really work. He kind of opens the helmet and speaks to how the engine is working, and that got me thinking. I think I understand it, but still he had some new good angles and twists to it. And then if you're a programmer, you're not using GitHub Copilot, then for sure see that session, because then the last part of it was really on some of the improvements they are making to Copilot. And apart from seeing the potential in that, it also showed that when it's not working, what you should be aware of, but also shows that how Microsoft is really making sure that we don't have an AI taking over the world, so to speak. It sounds a bit funny, sci-fi like, but there's actually some concerns built into this, that if we apply this Copilot to everything coding and just lets it loose, do whatever it wants, it has a potential that is not nice. But so showing that, it can help you debug your code and come up with suggestions, but then basically saying, they could have created the Copilot so it just goes and grabs the next part of your code and goes into everything. No, it actually politely asks you, can I see this part? I think the problem's in there. So I like that thinking and implementation. So yeah, but that was a good session, and I'll try to see more sessions like that.
Yeah, and let's be honest. We're both nerds, but I think that in between us, Henrik is the Uber nerd, and being much. Yes, absolutely. It's a compliment. He's much more technical than I am, but I'm trying to say from a high level strategic point of view to take a look at all of the Microsoft products. So I have scheduled sessions in which might be maybe over my head, but still to learn how things are working and what does AI and Copilot do to security or deep down in Azure, and that's very impressive that Microsoft has done. Someone yesterday was very happy at a session and said, "Oh, I finally can speak about my work in public because for the last 2 years I've been working on Microsoft Fabric." So this has been in the works for many years. So the foundation is right, and that's a good thing to see. And for me, it's good to learn about all of those aspects, but also about like how do you do inclusive and fair AI as well. Because, well, we all know the stories about chatbots running out of hand and getting racist. That is something which was one of the, I think, the early phases of Microsoft learning very hard, and those are things also good to learn from outside, like how should we implement that and work with our customers to do the right things in the right way, and to set it up in an inclusive and fair manner.
And otherwise, I would say, you spend the time wise being here, because there's so much information. Every hour you sit there and you just know, now I'm listening to this, but I could also be listening to these 10 other sessions. It's almost frustrating, right? But that's also the message out to the viewers here. The ignite-microsoft.com, you can still go there and sign up for the sessions. You can see them live. Most of the sessions is recorded, so 24, 48 hours later, I think you can see them. Turn to the social medias, people are blogging, tweeting about what all the good stuff here. And I think one summary that's also very important to look at is this the book of news from Ignite. I guess we could share the link if otherwise Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
then of course I look forward to going back home and take the studio again next week with you to wrap up things hopefully.
To do the aftermath. That's really, really good. So actually we're past our time, but I know that one of you have a really requested announcement to make, like a question that we've had for the past 6 months at least. So so there's some news out there.
Well, the one thing, say, and we are obviously also under NDA. But with Microsoft. But the one thing why are we here in person? Because you can look at a lot of sessions online, is that in between the sessions, you see a lot of people, you talk to a lot of people. And yesterday, one of those persons say, on my question is, when is Copilot finally, and then I'm speaking specifically on Microsoft 365 Copilot, because that's basically what is the most common work Copilot, say it's used in Word, in Excel, in Teams, in Outlook, etc. When is that coming to a licensing model, CSP? So you don't have to have an enterprise agreement and buy a lot of licenses, minimum 300. And the person I talked to said, like, the good news is it's not far out. Say Microsoft has a date. They're not sharing that, but at least say. It's not far out, like they don't know when, but that's the good news, that it will be close. And I think that's good news for everyone, because say there are so many customers knocking on our doors saying, hey, when can we start this? And said, oh, you don't have an enterprise agreement, or you don't want to buy 300 licenses. Sorry about that. So that problem will be solved in the very near future, I have heard.
But also understand there's so many things you can do now. There's so many things you can do now to prepare for the Copilot. And Pernille, more than anyone knows about that. And we get some even more guidance here from the Ignite sessions. Yeah,
that is maybe as my close off, like the one thing I learned here is that Copilot is a great thing, but you have to be ready for it. Say you have your data have to be, say, if your data is scattered about many different tenants and many different systems, and you do not have a place. That's the reason why Fabric is here, for example, to get to one lake and have all the data in one place. That is why you want, say, a SharePoint solution where all your knowledge is gathered, so you can tap into it and use it for the next phase.
Cool.
So that is, at least if you're not ready on that side, I would say my advice would be to customers to start assessing where you are and get that work done before you even start on Copilot.
Yeah, really, really nice closing point. So if you are not ready on that part, you can always, of course, obviously call us and reach out to Philomine. We're there to help you also get ready for the next level and everyday life with the AI. So on that note, I'm just going to remind you that next week we're going to have the aftermath of Ignite with Henrik Kim. He's returned back to Denmark. We're going to meet up in the studio and hear all the news that actually came out of the next couple of days also of Ignite. And on that note, I'm just going to say thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.